Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Three Guys Walk into Culinary School. We're back. Brian, Tim, myself, Jimmy here. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Hey, what's going on?
The usual recording today. Should be a little fun episode, maybe educational even. We mentioned our wine series last episode. We kind of want to get into it, kind of give people a little rundown for those people who are maybe more inexperienced with wine. Just more popular varietals of wine, reds, whites. We'll give you guys some ideas on what we'd like to pair it with. And I think, it should be educational, should be fun. I think we're going to learn from each other, different stuff and different pairings that maybe we never thought of. So it should be a good, fun, educational episode. But again, we'll focus on fungication because we want to make it fun. That was terrible, fungication. That's not a thing. That sounds like a disease. Like fungal. That's right. Yeah,
I got a little.
My left toe is a little fungication. I got a cut. I never took care of it. It just sounds terrible. Yeah. Get some ointment for that. So I think we're gonna kind of just go over more popular wines if you guys are down with that. We'll start with the white varietals. We'll do like a Sauv Blanc, a Pinot Grigio, Chardonnay. These are, I think, all good cheeses, good wine cheeses, for the most part. They don't really overpower too much. Sauvignon Blanc is obviously it's a dry wine, meaning it's not sweet, right? Actually, Tim, do you know, is there like a sweet version of all three of those varietals? Maybe you would know better.
Oh, what do you mean?
Like, is there like a sweeter, like, usually they're dry, Sauv Blanc, Pinot Grigio, and Chardonnay.
You will find some producers might be sweeter than the others, but the company I work for does demi-sec versions of those wines, and demi-sec wine is traditionally sweeter.
Interesting.
Maybe. Okay. So I was thinking about wine, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm not the biggest wine drinker, right? I know a little bit. I don't know a lot. But I realize that when people talk about wine, sometimes you just feel a little bit silly. People who are really into wine, they tend to refer to it. They might call the liquid like juice. I've got a great juice. I've got a great wine. I've got a great.
That's so funny.
So, you can tell when people start talking like that they probably know more than you, or at least think they know more than you. So when we talk about like dry versus sweet, maybe we can start there. Like what?
Nice. I like
what
that.
is a dry? Like what makes a wine dry?
So dryness doesn't refer to obviously the wetness, right, Tim? It refers to the sweetness level, right?
Yeah.
So dry, like a dry wine, just means like no sweetness. There might be some natural sweetness in there from the grape. You might find like a Pinot Grigio, or I guess maybe not Pinot Grigio because it's not really sweet. But you might find one wine to be
like a Riesling is sweet.
Sweeter, yeah. So Riesling,
Riesling is a good one because
it's a great example.
You have you have dry Rieslings and then you have sweet Rieslings.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with the sugar content.
Yep. Exactly.
But I'm going to start off just real quick with something that's going to be controversial. We'll talk about wine pairings and things, but like there's no rules. Like if you like to eat steak and drink Sauvignon Blanc because that's what you like, do it. Do you Don't be afraid not to.
Yeah, that's honestly, like the people who are pretentious about wine and kind of airing your face about it. I don't like those people because I too, don't get me wrong, I work in the wine industry, but I'm not in sales or production or anything like that. But I don't drink it that often, and I too feel intimidated by wine sometimes, right? And I've taken probably, 16 to 20 courses on wine overall. So it could be intimidating. And then there's people who want to make it intimidating so they sound a little cooler than you and, make you feel worse about it. But like Tim said, the most important thing about wine is just enjoy it the way you like it, like you want to drink, like you said, a white with a nice hearty steak, go for it. That's all you. If you want to drink a Cab Sauv poolside, because that's what you like to drink a Cab Sauv poolside because that's what you like to drink. Like
100%.
The most important rule is that you like what you're drinking. And we'll get more into that too towards the end. We have some wine myths we want to kind of debunk, and that's one of them, Tim. Like there's no master pairing. There's no rule like you have to do this. But I guess we'll get into that wine myth real quick. It's just like going into like expensive, like, oh, this is a $40 bottle of wine, doesn't make it better than a $15 bottle of wine. That's all marketing,
and there's nothing wrong with buying a bottle of wine because you think the label looks cool.
That's 90% of my that's 90% of my liquor store activities is like the label looks good. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great.
If Martha's on the bottle, then
exactly. Oh man, I have like 7 Game of Thrones whiskeys in my garage cellar, just because they had the different houses on them from Game of Thrones. Like I just bought it, never opened it, so like wine, spirits, if you think it just looks like a cool label, it looks like a cool label. You try it, you like it, you don't.
I mean, I got a real cool bottle that I'll save because it's kind of like my outlier. I don't know if I want to talk about it right now, but it's sort of I don't know if it's a unique wine type, but the bottle's also really cool too. So I'll talk about it later.
Cool. I'm
looking forward to that.
But to go back to your education process, like, what does dry mean? Like we said, dryness is the level of sweetness in the wine. We're going to talk about some acid, right? Obviously, just the level of acidity in a wine. White wines tend to be, well, not always, but more acidic than red for the most part, I think. Tim, again, step in if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
And like with acid, it's not your traditional like eating a lemon acid. So you'll take a sip, and the best way to detect this, and multiple people have told me this, and I love this, is you take a sip of wine, swirl it around your mouth, spit it out, or drink it, whatever you're going to do. And then kind of like lower your chin a little bit and open your mouth. And the more you salivate, like your tongue starts salivating, the more acidic it is, right? And that acid helps with like fatty, or like, let's say a Pinot Grigio, like super high acids most of the time. Helps with like these creamier goat cheeses, helps with like Parmesan cheese, helps break that down. So you kind of get a better pairing, So one's not really overpowering the other. And the wine is helping complement the fatty features of like a goat cheese, or a tangy feature of a goat cheese, excuse me. I think tanginess is more important there.
I also like to taste acidity. You'll look like a total weirdo, but just stick the tip of your tongue into the wine.
Oh, I never thought about that.
That's another way I like to.
And what do you feel like? What are you getting out of it?
You'll feel that, that acidity on the tip of your tongue.
You'll feel the acidity on the tip of your tongue. Okay. Yeah. I've never tried that. I'm going to try that. That's cool. That's interesting.
Yeah.
And then there's the body of a wine, right? Basically the like the mouthfeel, right? Like how I'm not luscious. I don't want to use the word luscious because I feel like it's not the right word.
Yeah, I mean, so if you have if you're thinking Chardonnay, it's going to have a rounder feeling in your mouth than let's say a Sauvignon Blanc or something of that nature.
Yeah. So you get a full body.
I think I could explain maybe mouthfeel, like if you want to constantly drink something and it's like refreshing, right? Like if you're drinking a wine and it's kind of refreshing, almost as if you're drinking a juice or some sort of other, flavorful beverage.
Yeah.
You can just keep drinking it. Then it's probably on the lighter mouthfeel side, I would say. But if it's something that feels a little bit like, maybe not as refreshing, but a little bit more just like you want to savor it more. Maybe it's a bit of a heavier mouthfeel. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Perfect.
Yeah, about like rosés during the summer, like you can just kind of drink them and chug them.
Exactly. I was thinking chug them if you want to.
You can. I don't like rules in wine. I understand it, but in my opinion, there shouldn't be rules.
Absolutely. Like you said, rosé, Pinot Grigio, like we're going back to that one real quick. It's a very simple taste, right? It's very light and refreshing. Obviously, it's served cold. And you can just keep kind of sipping it without really getting that, like you said, that mouthfeel, the heavier mouthfeel. It's light, it's crisp, you're just drinking, knocking it back, and enjoying it. So you will, I guess, you'll sip more frequently, I guess, because you're enjoying it so much.
Yeah. I know we're gonna get into bubbles a little bit later, but I think a good way to express or explain like mouthfeel is with champagne, particularly because you can get some champagnes that are actually very light and crisp, and you kind of just like want to sip them. And then you have some where it's like, oh wow, this is a little bit different. Like, you may not even like it because it's so like buttery and rich that it doesn't go down as easily as something that's just like a sippable, champagne toast type of champagne. So I think that's a good way to maybe explain it, because I feel like most people have had champagnes that are really light and easy to. It's probably like the cheap,
Well, I think
different champagnes.
Not necessarily cheaper. It's just how it's made.
Okay.
It could be a sparkling wine. It could be.
I think that's kind of the thing where people just think that anything with bubbles is champagne.
Yeah.
But it could be prosecco. It could be cava.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, so
could be champagne. Could just be a sparkling white.
Yeah.
And it's all how it's made. So the bubbles in prosecco are different. I think kind of more aggressive than the bubbles in a cava, because cava has a little lighter, smaller bubbles. And we can get into that, right? But you won't have that initial.
There's a lot to get into.
Kick. There is so much to get into when it comes to the world of wine.
I wish I was drinking a glass of wine right now.
I know, seriously, man. I've got bottles on bottles here. I got a Chardonnay. I've got a Cab here, and this is just on. It's just on my desk. It's not for the episode. It's just here all the time, and it's annoying. And on this side, I'm looking here. I got a rye whiskey, 2 rye whiskeys, a cognac, and an Irish whiskey. And I don't drink shit, you guys. Like, I had a martini yesterday. We went out for my wife's birthday to have like a late lunch, early dinner with our son.
Nice.
And we went to the city. I had a martini, and like by the salad course, I was just like drunk. I was like, my eyes were like, couldn't keep them open. Like, again, one drink, lightweight.
No, I gotta ask the important question. Where'd you go?
You know what? We went to a restaurant that we kind of loved going to when we were dating, and it's still one of our favorite spots because it's so easy, it's simple, and it's got really good food. It's called The Smith. In the city, there's like 4 or 5 locations in the city. There's one in DC.
There's one in Columbus Circle.
They've got Columbus Circle. I'm trying to remember where Columbus Circle is. Okay, yeah, I don't remember.
It's the Circle.
It's the Circle with Columbus. That makes sense, right? Yeah.
Like 81st in Columbus, kind of.
Maybe. I haven't been to that one. We've been to, I think, 2 or 3 out of the 4 locations, so that might be the 4th one. They have the world's, like, our favorite mac and cheese that we've had in a restaurant in New York City.
Nice. Lincoln Center. That's what I'm thinking. Not Columbus Circle.
Lincoln Center, yes. Lincoln Center, yes. They have one. Yeah. Lincoln Center, yeah. So it's like, it's kind of like American food. It's like a little bit more done up bar food. They got your steaks. They got your mac and cheeses. They have a great gnocchi, which they didn't have in the brunch menu, which pissed us off. Which we would have definitely gotten. So we did that, and we had the mac and cheese. Of course, it was the like main attraction of our meal. Like, so all the apps came. My wife did not have wine. She wasn't feeling it. But I had a dirty martini, and then a dirty vodka martini.
I bet you did.
Oh yeah, it was filthy. It's a filthy little martini. And then a Diet Coke to wash it down so I could drive home.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, that was fun. No wine. Yeah, I should have prepared, right? I should have prepared for the episode.
Yeah.
But I guess we can kick it off with Pinot Grigio. We'll start with that, right? So like we said, it's a dry wine. Pinot Grigio has usually on the higher side, medium to higher acid levels, so you'll get more of that salivating. You'll feel it on the tip of your tongue, like Tim says. Lighter body, easy to drink, right? I guess it goes
to say.
Pinot Grigio, yeah. And if you say it in French, Pinot Gris, right? It's a similar wine, maybe some different characteristics, but you'll get a lot of like fresh lemon flavors, like unripe pears, kind of green pear flavors. And it's just pretty simple to drink. It's not very deep. It's not very complicated.
I think price. People always like to talk about price too, with wines. For Pinot Grigio, don't spend more than $12.
Oh yeah,
on a bottle.
I love this. This is insider information.
Of good Pinot Grigios, for under $12, $10.
Yeah. So that one that Drake rapped about that costs like $24, $25 a bottle. We'll just say it's Santa Margarita.
Yeah,
it's all marketing, right?
Yeah,
it's all marketing.
100%.
That's where most of the goes. Like all that extra. You see a $40 bottle of wine that you see everywhere in every liquor store. It's just like, and every ad in every print, magazine, fashion magazines and sports magazines or billboards. That's what you're paying for.
Yeah.
You're paying for that poster to go up.
Yeah, I mean, if you're thinking,
it's not always better.
Yeah, save your money and spend a little bit more money on Pinot Noirs and Cabernets,
I like it.
Pinot Grigios, don't spend more than $12.
Yeah, okay.
So
when
you think about a varietal, right? Like Pinot Grigio is a varietal, correct?
Yeah.
Can there be differing, I guess, dryness or sweetness in the varietal, right? So can I have 2 Pinot Grigios from 2 different producers that one is a little bit drier and the other one's a little bit sweeter? Is that the way that works?
You could, because the producer could add sugar to it if they wanted to.
Okay.
Again, I'm not familiar with any Pinot Grigios that are like marketed as semi-sweet or demi-sec or semi-sweet or sweet in general. that might just because be because the grape is so acidic, and I think it's like that's the appeal of that grape. I think honestly, that wine being so acidic, personally, and then again, like simple flavor, so you can't add too much to something that doesn't have any oomph to it, because it'll kind of just destroy the flavor. But I'm sure there are people that add more sugar than not.
Yeah, I mean, I think for like Pinot Grigio, for like a Santa Margarita, you're probably gonna find that to be a little bit more sweeter than something that comes from a smaller company, smaller vineyard. Just because Santa Margarita is producing so much of it.
Yeah, the mass production of it.
Yeah.
And like their goal when you produce that much is consistency, right? They want you to open every
100%.
2019 to taste the same 2023
I mean,
bottle. They're gonna even it out,
I'm
as
not
much as they can.
sure, but I don't know if a bottle of Santa Margarita is even going to have a vintage on it.
It used to. I don't know if it still does. I don't know.
I don't know the
know it
answer,
used to.
but
I know it used to. But I see what you're saying there, where it's just like just mass produced and everything. Again, we want to make it taste the same. You kind of do that with like your whiskeys too, and when it comes to that, like you want every sip of Knobs Creek to taste the same. And I kind of that's such a good question, Brian. You got some good questions, and I think when you move forward to other wines, you'll kind of realize that like where it's produced, like whether it's French or American, like a Cab Sauv. Like I know this. This stuck to me with one of my classes. It's like an American Cab Sauv is always going to be a little bit more fruit forward, Cabernet Sauvignon, where a French one is going to be a little bit more minerally, right? So it has to do with the soil it's grown in, obviously
100%.
the years of the vine and all that. But consistently, you'll learn more from the front of the label than that little spiel on the back of a wine bottle that tells you like their story kind of deal, where you'll see like, oh, okay, Napa Valley Cab, what's the Calistiga? I forget what it's called, Tim. Do you remember where it is in Napa? The little Napa Valley Cab. So I forget what the smaller subset of Napa is, where like the cab is really famous or popular. Either way, it's fine. But like a Napa Cab, again, you'll know when you see that, like, okay, this is gonna be a little bit more fruit forward. And then you have something from France, and you'll know again the soil's a little bit more minerally. You'll get more earth, more terroir. You'll taste more of that earthiness and mineral from the stones and the soil, because different soil, different flavors to the results of the grape. So yeah, that you'll definitely be able to kind of tell the difference of. So yeah, if there's two different varietals, two different producers, specifically two different areas, you'll have two different definitely two different tasting wines.
Okay. I'm really.
I love. I'm
going to ask some really basic questions.
Yeah, please do.
And I'm just kind of like getting to the super basics. Like if someone has only ever heard of wine as a category of beverage, right? And they have no idea where to start. It's like we're thinking about wine, like you think about soda, right? So you can think about a Pinot Grigio as like a lemon lime soda, right? For example, and they're different.
I like that.
They're different types. You've got your Sprite, your Starry, your Kroger brand.
This is so good. This is such great questions. I'm sitting here like, don't get me wrong. Like I'm not going to say I'm an expert in wine. I'm not. I'm very much a novice in it. But like I like sharing the information that I know, and I like when Tim says or okay or correct, because I know it's right, because I lean on Tim, because I know Tim has liked wine for as long as I've known him. That's one of the first things I knew, how much he loves a good glass of wine. And again, it doesn't always have to be expensive, which I really appreciate, Tim.
Right.
Because
I think it's good just to talk about it in these ways, because so often people really only refer to wines as like by how much they cost. And you kind of get to this discussion about, well, that's not a good bottle because it's $12, or that's a really good bottle because it's a $45 bottle of wine. It's really, so it's good to like just talk about things in a little bit different way.
And it's especially on your white wines, don't be afraid of screw caps. Screw caps are a great thing. I think sometimes people see a screw cap and they're like, oh, this is cheap.
Yeah, that's not the case.
It's not the case at all. I think that's one of those.
It preserves wine, screw caps, as well as a cork does. It doesn't add to it, because corks with red wines and wines that you age will add to it eventually down the road. It'll help oxidate a little bit. Some air does go through. Screw caps don't allow for that aging, but they preserve wine just as good. And it's not a cheaper wine. It's the quality's still going to be as good as it would have been with a cork on it. So,
and to even go into like another step further, like don't be afraid of a box wine either. I know people poo-poo that big time.
Yeah.
But I've gotten the chance and the opportunity to talk to a lot of amazing winemakers,
Yep.
and a lot of those winemakers would tell you that they would love nothing more than to be able to put their wine in a box, because basically the way the mechanism works is it doesn't allow any air to go back into the wine. So it's actually an amazing way to preserve wine as opposed to cork once you open it. So
it gives you a little more time in the fridge, or just after you've opened it to enjoy it at a higher quality. It does. It's it's another myth. Tim's just banging them all out that I wanted to kind of go over. Wine in a box is not quality wine. That's a hard myth, because, like Tim said, for all those amazing reasons, it'll hold longer. It's it's just, I don't know. It's just got a bad rap, and there's so many good options out there. I think Black Box is pretty popular. Boda Box is really good. I've had that. There's a Juliet wine. Great options, great packaging. You could bring a 1.5 liter, leave it on the counter, and just start pouring away, with the little nozzle and everything. And
there's a great Cabernet Sauvignon called Grand Pour.
I've never had it.
Yeah, it's the only reserve level Cabernet in a box.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
Very good. It's like $19.99 a box.
Amazing.
Oh, wow.
What is it, a 1.5?
So yeah.
So
it's about the equivalent to about 3 to 4 bottles of wine. I forget.
Yeah, okay. So you're looking at a 3 liter then.
Yeah,
so I think it's 1.5 and 3 liters. Yep. So it's 4 bottles of wine.
Yeah.
For $20, and it's a reserve level cab, which is amazing.
So I'm gonna back up a little bit, because you guys are using that terminology.
Oh, my bad.
Reserve level. What's that mean?
Oh, gosh.
Reserve level.
So Tim, you want to hit it, or shall I try? Because I don't know exactly my reserve levels, but it's like a higher quality. So it's like a higher quality juice that was gathered from the winemaking process that they sell at a reserve level. I think it's also, maybe I'm right, maybe I'm wrong. Is it aged longer, Tim? Do you know?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily
anything for age. It's usually the winemaker is just looking at his hectare of grapes and just okay, I'm reserving these.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
like it's a higher quality grape.
It's also kind of just a buzzword.
Oh, really?
Like if I'm really if I'm being truthful, it's just
that's fine.
No, that's what I want to get at. Just sort of breaking down some of these terms. It makes sense when you think about it, like from a practical standpoint. Okay, I have this harvested grapes that I'm going to reserve.
I'm sure there's a legal terminology that you have to. But I off the top of my head, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember either. There definitely was.
That's a good explanation, though, I think.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I like that. Cool. So again, a lot of buzzwords.
But I could grow grapes in my backyard and be like, oh, this is I'm making reserve wine. But
this is farm reserve.
Yeah,
farm reserve to table wine. That's interesting. Okay, but there is definitely some legal connotation to it, but or wine labeling. Regulations.
Regulations with
absolutely.
Labeling.
That's cool. So that was a fun bit with the box wine, because it's true. It's not a bad quality wine. It's just easy to have out. And again, like, you can chill a rosé box wine in your fridge and take it outside for a picnic, barbecue, and just have it out there for next hour or two, and just keep pouring away. Good stuff. It's really good stuff. Don't be afraid to try it, for sure. So going back to Pinot Grigio, we'll kind of do like what pairs well with Pinot Grigio, because it's a higher acidic wine. It does well with like tangier, richer kind of foods, because that acidity helps break down the taste of it in your mouth. Goat cheese does well. Again, it's simple, so it doesn't take heavy food, but it's the acidity helps with like a creamier goat cheese. The mozzarella, that like feel you have from like a fresh mozzarella in your mouth. Parmesan cheese, all those pair really well with the Pinot Grigio. Obviously, like lighter seafoods, salads, maybe like a pesto pasta sauce, something light, not too heavy, right? I don't think a Pinot Grigio will hold up against a red wine if you're trying pairings. I
think it's also, remember, it's definitely a varietal that you're going to want to chill. I know that maybe to some people that's obvious, maybe to others it's not.
Yeah,
but that's definitely one that you're going to want to chill.
Yeah. So I guess the rule of thumb that I've heard before, and I like it, and I kind of practice it when we do have people over in wine is you keep your whites in your fridge, right, until you're ready to go, and then 15 minutes before you open it, take it out of the fridge, let it kind of come down to temperature a little bit with a room temperature.
Yeah.
And then your reds, which should be stored at room temperature, which is like low to mid 60s when no house is really that cold. It's really, that's like wine cellar temperature. You'll put it in the fridge for 15 minutes before you want to serve it, just to raise it up a little bit and get it not as warm. If you want preference, like that's the rule of thumb. But again, if you just want to crack it open, which again, we practice the white wine rule. We don't practice the red wine rule in my house like that. You just come to the basement, grab one out of the case and crack it open immediately for the reds. The whites usually are in the fridge.
If you do find yourself in a pinch and you have a bottle of white wine that you need to chill quickly, before putting it in the fridge, take a paper towel, wet it with cold water, wrap it around the bottle, put it in the fridge. It'll chill quicker.
Yeah, I heard that for like soda. Like you do that for soda, put it in the fridge, it'll help it get it colder faster, which is kind of cool. Cool trick. Have you guys been to a liquor store recently? So the one I went to most recent, where I found my Buffalo Trace bourbon a couple weeks ago, was, or had right before you left, there's a little, almost like those 5-gallon water coolers you'll see in an office, you know? And it had an opening on top, and it was just circulating cold water.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you seen that? You put your wine bottle in there, and it brings it to like 40 degrees or less in like 6 or 7 minutes, which I think was the coolest thing in the world. And I thought it was like new technology. I don't know if it is or not.
No,
like, for me, I'm just like, this is the future we were all asking for.
Yeah,
you know?
It's
like,
been around for a while. I've never actually tried it.
Damn, I feel like an idiot.
Yeah, I've tried it before. We have a chain in Chicago called Benny's Beverage Depot. It's like one of these huge liquor stores, but they have the chillers.
That's cool.
They work pretty well. I've had to use it for like bubbles a couple of times.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah. Like you're heading to someone's house, pick it up. Oh, something off the shelf. Because I always go to the fridge, and sometimes what I want isn't in the fridge,
Right. Yeah.
So I saw that wine cooler thing. It was really cool. That's awesome. Yeah. That's a fun little tidbit. And it's usually free, I think, right?
Yeah, I think it's free.
Yeah, it is free. Okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah. So any apps you think that you guys, because we're talking about cocktail party season, obviously it's the holidays, Friendsgiving, people coming over, breaking bread, having snacks, having a couple of drinks. Any appetizers you think, Tim or Bri, that would go well with like a nice acidic, tasty Pinot Grigio, excuse me. I don't know why I stumbled on that.
I'm wanting things that are light. I'm wanting things that are crunchy.
Yeah.
To go with that. Some fresh crudité. Perhaps.
Yeah. That's nice. Yeah, I'm thinking like because of the fresh mozzarella, immediately I thought of like a little caprese salad, right? But like, put it on a crostini, or I like those little phyllo cups. Have you seen those little phyllo cups? Are like almost like cupcake wrappers. You kind of toast them in the oven. You fill it up with whatever you want. You could kind of toast those in advance and kind of cut up the salad, toss it in your balsamic, some oil, maybe some basil. Put it in the little cup. You have a little bite. We're thinking like finger food now for like cocktail hours, but I was reading up on this, and sushi apparently is a good pairing for Pinot Grigio, which I've never had any wine outside of like sake at a sushi restaurant or at home.
I don't think I have either.
So like I kind of want to try that next time. Try a little Pinot Grigio with some sushi, because again, not overpowering. The wine isn't overpowering in flavor. It'll kind of, I guess, help cut through the fattier, your fattier tunas and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting pairing that I want to try moving forward. But I guess, maybe shrimp cocktail, seafood, it goes well together. But yeah, that was our Pinot Grigio. Sauvignon Blanc. You guys fans of Sauv Blanc? Tim, you specifically? I want to see what your wine favorite is, because I know
I actually do enjoy Sauvignon Blanc. It was actually probably one of the first wines I ever purchased.
Oh, really?
Back in the day. And I hadn't really drank it in a while, and this past summer I started to get kind of back into it a little bit.
Okay. Nice.
It's nice. There's definitely enhances food a little bit, but it's also just a nice, like, out in the backyard on a sunny day kind of drinking wine.
Nice. Bri, are you familiar with it at all, or?
Somewhat. Would you say Sauvignon Blanc is kind of like a medium body? If the Pinot Grigio is like your light, refreshing, your Chardonnay is a little bit more like rich and buttery. Sauvignon Blanc kind of sits in the middle.
My man, right there.
Yeah,
Boom.
yeah, you nailed it. I don't.
Yeah, that was perfect. That was perfect. Yeah, it's more of a medium body. Definitely, this is usually high acid all the time. I feel like
Yes.
Pinot Grigio, you can get it a little less acidic, but Sauvignon Blanc is always just like super acidic. And it doesn't have like those flavors, the fresher lemony flavors. It kind of has greener flavors most of the time. There's like a little bell pepper. Is it capsis or capsicum? I forget what the word is.
Capsicum,
kind of, yeah, like asparagus-y kind of vibe to it.
Okay.
It's a little greener.
A little more savory.
I guess so. I guess, yeah. It's like grassier. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that makes sense. You're the wine expertise, Tim. Please.
Maybe.
Yeah. No,
Tell
it's
me.
definitely gonna be more of that, like you said, more of that grassy, organic-y kind of flavor to it. It's another wine where don't go spending more than. Maybe I'd spend a little bit more on Sauvignon Blanc. Maybe I'd go up to 15, but don't spend more than $15.
Yeah.
On a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc.
Is there a white that you would spend over 20, let's say?
Maybe for a Chardonnay.
Oh yeah.
A
Okay.
nicer level Chardonnay.
Okay. Cool. Yeah. Is Sauvignon Blanc? I forget. Is it like more minerally? Because I have. Oh, this is a Chard. I haven't had a Sauv in a while. Is it like more minerally than usual, or?
Yeah.
Not usual, but
but definitely think more,
really.
A little more citrusy.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Think lemon rind, that kind of.
Oh, okay. Cool. All
thing
right,
is
nice.
where I would.
Now I know Sauv Blanc goes well. Sauv Blanc, excuse me, Sauv Blanc goes well with. I hear spicy food, right? So I hear Mexican. Yes. I see Thai food. I was shocked by it, to be honest, but like the super high ultra acidity helps. I don't know. Does it combat the spiciness or does it enhance it? Like when you taste it, Tim.
I think it complements it.
It complements
I like it. We were at a crawfish boil over the summer, and we were drinking some Crayfish Cove Sauvignon Blanc. Just again because it was. Perfect. I liked the label. And it was kind of just a funny pairing to go with it, but it was great.
Yeah. Perfect for crayfish for a boil seems like the perfect kind of
and it,
match there. It's awesome.
It kind of complements that the heat, takes it off your palate a little bit.
Yeah. And I'm thinking for this one, like I guess like a ceviche if you get it a little spicier, like a little extra jalapeno in there, that'll pair well. I was thinking Thai food because I think it's one of my favorite like spicier foods.
Another one. Make sure that you're serving it cold.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, absolutely. Maybe like guacamole. So you can do again maybe those little cups with guacamole or what was it? It was like a Thai chili sauce. So you'll take a shrimp. I'm sure you guys have had Thai food and their appetizers. They like to wrap their shrimp in a wonton wrapper and fry it. I think like as like a little hors d'oeuvre, you can kind of pre-fry those and then drizzle some like Thai chili sauce on top of it or any kind of chili sauce. That sounds like a nice little pairing.
There's so much good, fun wine out there. And so I think if you're one of those people who's like, oh, I only drink, and I hate people that do this, and somebody who's worked at wineries and, bartended, worked in retail, now works in the wholesale sector of it all, like, don't be one of those people who's like, oh, I just drink Pinot Grigio. If you like Pinot Grigio, try Sauvignon Blanc. You'd be surprised. Or like when I do tastings, how many people are, I'm tasting a Sauvignon. Oh, I only drink Chardonnay or I only drink Pinot Grigio. That's boring. Like, get out there and try all these different varietals.
This is a life lesson, I think, right? Don't just in general, you can apply that to everything. Like don't stick to one way or one type. Like try different things, just try new things. You never know. Worst comes to worst, it's a no.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard, oh, I'm a Chardonnay girl or I'm a Pinot Grigio girl or
I'm assuming these are all girls saying this. There wasn't like a your buddy Bob is like, I'm just a Chardonnay girl, bro. I can't.
If I'm being a little biased, which I guess I am right now, white wine definitely seems to be, more popular with the ladies.
Okay. I see that. Nice little, I could see that. I always consider wine like with the climate, right? So you'll have more whites in your warmer climate because it's cooled, it's chilled, and you'll use more. Then you kind of just go because rosé in the summer. I think everyone drinks rosé in the summer. I mean, I
think there's something to that.
Myself a rosé girl. You know, whatever. It's okay.
I see that.
June, July. I get sucked in with all the
about like
marketing.
There's this big like push for all these athletes, these ballers that they talk about their wine and they post their wine parties, and I've never seen like LeBron James and Carmelo Anthony with white wine bottles. Like it's always like some big bold red.
That's a good point.
And they've got several bottles of them. So I do think there's something to that. The effect that women may prefer white wines, or men think red wines are a little bit more masculine.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'll go to what you're saying, like LeBron and D Wade and Melo and all those guys, because I think two of those three guys, or maybe all three, have a stake in a vineyard, right? I don't know if LeBron does, but I know Melo and D Wade does. Yeah. I feel like when they're drinking more aged stuff. They're drinking stuff that might be 10 years old, might be 30 years old, and they're kind of, and those are usually your red wines because they'll hold a little bit longer. I remember learning that like a very small percentage of wine produced every year is actually like good to age, like 98% is to drink now, and like 2% is for like aging. So those are really hard to come by. These guys have unlimited money.
Right.
They can ball out like that. But you're right. Like I guess you're right. Like, maybe even someone, if it was a female with limited money, maybe she just wants a nice, fresh, refreshing Pinot Grigio. Nice little Chardonnay with her, I don't even know what you would pair that with. Chardonnay is more of a...
Lobster?
Popcorn
and Chardonnay? Oh, wait. Are you talking about like a really heavy oak Chardonnay? Or okay. Yeah. Popcorn. Dang, that's fun.
Oh, it's delicious.
Sneak that into the movie theaters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love popcorn.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
Oh, me too. I made a fresh batch of popcorn last night. It was wonderful.
I don't have do you have a popcorn maker? We're going to...
So I have...
talk, because this is fun.
have a movie theater style popcorn maker.
I've seen that.
It's off the house. But my preferred is I have the Whirly Pop, which you do on the stove. And
I've never seen a Whirly Pop. I'm going to Google the Whirly Pop. Or did we talk about it? Did we talk about this? Yeah. The Whirly Pop. That's cool. Yeah. Tim has those little like push carts that are like 6 feet tall, in his family room. And I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. So we, not to get into current events, but during the election, I'm just like, I want to, get a tub of popcorn and watch the results come in. And so I drove to the theater, which is like 4 minutes from my house, grabbed a large popcorn in like pajama bottoms and a t-shirt, and went right back to my car and watched the election until I fell asleep.
Oh man, that's a power move.
I woke up with heartburn, but it was good. It was a good start to the night.
I'm just going to continue to talk about popcorn for one more minute.
No, absolutely.
I don't know why, but recently when I've gone to the grocery store, I've had the urge, on like the bottom shelf when you're in the chip and popcorn, they have that giant like 2-pound bag of popcorn.
Yeah.
I don't know why I've had the urge to buy one of those.
Yeah. I mean, those things are huge, right? They're like 3 feet tall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's good, but I'm just like, I want to get that and bring that home.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
And
I've never gotten that, but I get the big bags at Costco, and I'm always like, this bag is too big. It doesn't fit in my cabinet, but
that's hilarious. That's hilarious. You make or you eat it.
I eat half of it.
Growing up, I had a friend who worked at the AMC, and I had a party at my house one day, and he came over with just like the garbage bag,
full of popcorn
that they have at the movie theater. Oh,
that's amazing.
What a party!
Shout
out Jeremy Roman.
Jeremy knows how to come to show up to someone's house for a party, man. That's amazing.
Yeah, I love it.
So did you put it in your 500-gallon trough and just people were picking out of it? Because that would be hilarious.
I didn't have a trough yet. I know. I was in my maybe late teens, early 20s.
You were troughless at that point.
I was troughless at that point.
You troughless. So Chardonnay. So Chardonnay goes good with popcorn, which is great. And Chardonnay's it's got a range of body, like Brian said. It's definitely it could be of those 3 wines that we've discussed so far, the fuller bodied one. But there are ones that aren't unoaked, that aren't oaked, and they're just kept in stainless steel, so they're not getting any maturing to it. Stainless steel vats, so there's a storage process before it gets bottled.
I personally tend to like Chardonnay that's finished in steel.
Yeah.
It's just kind of my preference, but I think there is definitely a place for Chardonnays that have been oaked.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Chardonnay that's done in steel to me is more of my I'm just sitting and drinking Chardonnay, is where the oak Chardonnay might be a little bit more I'm pairing with food or some really good cheeses,
Gotcha.
that kind of thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I like about Chardonnay. It's like now we're getting into when it comes to the fuller body Chardonnay, when it has been oaked. Like Tim said, it's a wine that you'll drink or while you're eating, and then with this you can have white meat, maybe like a pork loin, like the whiter pork meat, lighter pork meat. That'll complement that better. Whereas the previous mentioned wines not so great with
or
meat.
One of my least favorite questions is people are like, oh, well, what's your favorite wine? I hate that question because it's always like, well, what am I doing? Where am I? What time of year is it? What am I eating?
Yeah. That's
what
great.
room
That's
in
a
the
good
house
point.
am I sitting in? Like,
That's so funny.
I know it sounds crazy, but
yeah,
it's I like to take those things into consideration. And like, if I'm sitting outside during the day, I might want that, and it's hot out. I might want that Chardonnay that's, finished in steel barrels or whatever. But it's starting to get a little chilly out. I'm by the fire. I'm gonna go for that more oaked Chardonnay flavor.
That's why Tim's my wine guy, man. That's why Tim's
does
my wine guy.
does ABV play a part in the varietal? Right? Can you get a higher ABV like Pinot or low ABV Chardonnay, or does it tend to work in the reverse?
Go ahead, Tim. Sorry. No. I was going to say there's ranges for both. I'm sorry, for all three of those varietals. They're usually in the lower, like it starts in the lower 11.5%. Pinot Grigio doesn't get that alcoholic. I think it's like a medium alcohol, like 13.5%.
Yeah.
Chardonnay, because it ages in the oak and it gets the oxidation, it could be a little higher ABV. I think it goes up to 14.
Okay.
Tim? Like there's a 14. Is there higher than 14? Am I making that up? Is there a 15%?
No,
or
there is a trend that's kind of starting now where brands are coming out with higher ABV level wines. To me, though, it's really more of they're kind of wine, malt liquor, kind of like, I don't really know. But
get drunk faster. Get fucked up faster with us. Yeah.
There's a brand out there now. It's called XXL. And basically the whole shtick is that it's just higher ABV wine. And it's there's a push for that right now.
That's interesting. I never,
blasted wine.
Yeah. So is it a fortified wine then? Is that what it comes down to? Is that the what it would fall into? Fortified is, for those listening at home who don't know, it's a wine that's kind of been finished off with either some liquor or I guess not liquor, but would it be liquor to him? Is it like a finished liquor, or is it like God, what's wrong with me? I forget what the base is.
Like a grain alcohol, or
like maybe a grain alcohol. Oh man, I forget.
I mean, I personally, I don't know much about it. Honestly, it's just not something I look for.
Yeah. I hear you. Do you sell any?
What's that?
Do you sell any of these? Any super high alcoholic?
No,
wines.
I don't have any of that.
This is new to me. This is all news to me. I didn't know that was the thing.
But like I said, it is starting to gain a little bit of popularity. Me personally, I've never looked at a bottle of wine and looked at the ABV. It's not something that I'm taking into consideration when purchasing a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
There's also a push for people that are looking for wine that is lower in ABV, or even alcohol-free wine is starting to become more and more popular.
Absolutely. Yeah. 2 months out of the year, you're focusing on not drinking. Sober October, dry January has liquor distributors all over the country pissed off because you have to add more products to your wine, more cases in your warehouse, and it's a huge industry, and people are making that push. People, I feel like, went to the White Claws and your seltzers to be a little healthier than a wine, and now that there's non-alcoholic, we have all these like mocktail products in our distributor. That are making a big splash. It's a big market, and the younger generations are drinking that more than wine. Not more, but in place of sometimes.
we need to get, and maybe this is part of our mission, we need to get the younger people drinking wine again. Why our wine drinkers are dying off, to just be blunt about it. We need to,
it's true.
The wine industry needs to figure out a way to get people more excited about wine again.
Yeah,
And
I
absolutely love wine. Wine is delicious. But the seltzer world and things like that have definitely hurt.
If you want to look at it economically too, if you think about it, like, and not to get too much into economics and politics, but they say the boomers have more money and are doing, have done better off in their life than Gen Z and millennials are doing, and they don't, the younger generation just doesn't have that expendable money to spend on a nicer bottle of wine. So I'm going to buy a 12-pack for 12-pack, probably a 12-pack of White Claw for $18, as opposed to 4 glasses of wine in a $7.50 bottle for the same price.
I see that argument, but I also like.
But you enjoy wine, I feel like when you're younger, you just want to get buzzed and drunk. Is that, I don't know. I'm still kind of like that too.
Which we do not condone.
Yeah, no, well, responsibly.
If you're 21, that's fine.
Oh, please, yeah, absolutely.
But I mean, again, and I said earlier, like, I could steer you in the direction of some great wines for under $10.
Yeah.
So I think you guys are both right. I think the way that we talk about it and the way that it's sort of described has, I think, been at a detriment to the popularity of wine. Right? Like, there's so many myths and so much miscommunication. People make it so complicated that maybe the younger generation is just like, it's not for me. Like, it's not worth the effort of getting into when it's something that, number one, I think they can't afford, and number two, they think, it just doesn't fit into their lifestyle.
Yeah, and I'm just kind of thinking about this now all of a sudden. Like, there's something so nice about opening up a bottle of wine and pouring it for somebody else, pouring someone a glass of wine. It's nice, it's intimate. Like, you don't get that with cracking open a beer or a seltzer. There's something nice about, taking that glass out of the cabinet, tilting it, pouring the wine in, handing it to someone. Like,
I like that. Yeah,
wine is an experience, and I think that's why I love it so much.
Yeah, but have you ever shotgunned a White Claw and then crushed a can in your head?
No,
not yet. That's a nice experience
well, that's
too.
True. Not yet.
not yet.
Actually, I'm absolutely loving this wine conversation, but I have a different question, just real quick,
please,
that I want to ask.
We're in open forum.
If you eat alphabet soup, what do you get?
Oh man, it took me a minute.
A vowel movement.
A vowel movement. These are getting better and better every week. These are fantastic. This is my favorite one yet, and that was last week was my favorite one yet. Oh my God, a vowel movement. All right, everybody. Thank you for listening to our whites. Oh, real quick, Chardonnay, the crab cakes, the pairings. We want to let the people know what they can pair with. A baked brie's good. Crab cakes.
Nice cheese tray. Yeah,
cheese tray, of course. Again, shrimp cocktail. I feel like goes with every white, but I feel like this is a nice white wine to kind of get that. Maybe the other ones are a little too tanky. Guys, thank you for listening to this episode. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on YouTube.
Yeah. Send us your wine questions.
Send us wine questions, because obviously we only hit white today, so we're going to do the red varietals next time. If you have any questions about red wines, if you have any whites that you want us to talk about that we didn't cover today, obviously we try to do more broader whites, more well-known. But yeah, if there's any varietal that you guys want us to touch on, let us know. Email us at 3GuysWICS, 3G, the number 3, GUYSWICS at gmail.com. That's also our handle on Instagram. That's also our handle on YouTube. Find us, DM us, comment with questions, email your questions. Let us know. Please drink responsibly. I know we're having fun talking about this. But if you're at a friend's house drinking, please make the appropriate plans. There's Ubers, there's carpooling with designated drivers, there's public transportation, there's walking, there's there's a dozen ways to not have a night end in tragedy. So please drink responsibly and be wise, please.
Yeah, and I'm gonna throw out a little challenge to everybody. If you're going out, especially with the holidays coming up, and you're going out to buy a bottle of wine, walk down a different aisle and pick a different varietal. Post a picture of what you picked and tag us in it. I want to see what you guys are drinking.
Oh yeah, tag us in your wine labels. I love that. That's great. We'll share it on the Instagram, and then let us know what you think about it too. You know, kind of like, you know, we'll tag it. You guys let us know what you think, and we'll share that, because that's you know, we're crowdsourcing knowledge and information here. Where, you know, we want to share, make sure everyone knows what they're expecting.
We haven't talked about it, but again, if you're in your wine shop, ask your merchant about Beaujolais Nouveau. It's out now.
Oh,
and
yes.
I'm just gonna leave it at that. Just ask about it and grab a bottle, and we'll talk more about it next week. Yep,
it's out already. It's in the States already.
It's in the States.
Wow. Oh wow, I'm way behind. Okay, cool. We're closer to Thanksgiving than I thought.
Absolutely.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll talk soon. We'll see you soon. See you next week. Bye.
Cheers,
everybody.